when I was into Bruce Lee, there was a kid in fourth grade. Okay, and he told me, this fourth grader told me that I'm missing out because I'm not watching Sonny Chiba. That Bruce Lee was nothing compared to Sonny Chiba.
Wow. Okay. That
I
was
could
this kid named Quentin Tarantino? Hey guys, today's video is about Sonny Chiba, who had unfortunately passed away on August 19th, 2021 at the age of 82. We're going to appreciate him. We're going to remember him. We're going to have a discussion. Now, I didn't really grow up watching Sonny Chiba movies, so I can't say I'm the biggest fan. That is why we have a guest today who is a very big fan, who did grow up watching his films, etc. So the way he talks about Sonny Chiba is basically the way I talk about Jean-Claude Van Damme. So perfect guest to have on this episode. His name is George S. Pogasic. Make sure to check out his Facebook page. I call him the Martial Arts Wizard. He also has a YouTube channel. I'll link that all in the description below. He also sells a punching course. So if you want that Drago knockout, whatever he hits, he destroys type punch, you're going to want to check out his course. I'll talk more about that course in a future video with him. But anyway, I hope you guys appreciate this conversation we have remembering and appreciating Sonny Chiba. If you do, make sure to help support the channel by hitting that like button, subscribing, sharing the video. And don't forget your Black Belt Fragrances cologne. I could get you a huge discount. All that information linked in the description below. And with all that said, let's get on to this discussion with the Viking Samurai and the Martial Arts Wizard.
Sounds like a damn monster movie.
Talking about remembering Sonny Chiba. Sonny Chiba,
Yeah.
basically, I will tell you guys, you included and everybody watching, my limited experience with Sonny Chiba movies. Basically, I've heard of him, right? Like people used to talk about him and they would always say, you have to watch Street Fighter. Street Fighter is such a good movie. I rented Street Fighter when I was a teenager. I watched it. I thought it sucked. I thought the fight stunk. And I thought, you know what? I'd rather just keep watching Bloodsport over and over instead of a movie like this. So that was my experience with Sonny Chiba. So I don't think I ever got to appreciate him like some people. And according to you, Street Fighter isn't even that good of a movie as far as Sonny Chiba movies go. So hopefully you will tell me, you know, what I've been missing, and also basically what the audience needs to watch and why we should and need to appreciate this man who sadly has passed away recently.
You know that Quentin Tarantino really liked him, right?
I mean, that's something. I know he doesn't like Bruce Lee. At least he likes Sonny Chiba. That's something. Like, give us something, Quentin.
He was mentioned in True Romance. Do you remember that?
Who's Sonny Chiba?
Who is Sonny Chiba? He's bar none the finest actor working in martial arts movies today.
He took her on a date to see Street Fighter, to see Sonny Chiba, and she said,
her for another movie.
and then she says, "Is he a good guy?" And Christian goes, "Well, it's not so much that he's a good guy, but that he's a bad motherfucker." And that's true. You know, it's so funny because who cares?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like, is Seagal a good guy in Marked for Death?
Yeah.
I mean, not really, because he's telling that priest at the beginning all the bad stuff he's been involved with.
I've lied. I've slept with informants. I've taken drugs. I've falsified evidence.
But he's a bad mofo, so he's cool and we like him, right?
Yeah, but I mean, when I was into Bruce Lee, there was a kid in fourth grade. Okay, and he told me, this fourth grader told me that I'm missing out because I'm not watching Sonny Chiba. That Bruce Lee was nothing compared to Sonny Chiba.
Wow. Okay. Was this kid named Quentin Tarantino?
Oh, he's actually in the film business now. He's over in California working as a writer.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Yeah, horror films and things like that. But
interesting.
But he told me back then, because his parents took him to scary parts of Detroit, and my parents wouldn't ever drive me to go see these tough movies, you know, these R-rated movies like Street Fighter and other things.
Sure. And
I always saw the poster, and I saw the theater, and I couldn't go to it because my parents, you know, they wouldn't take me there. So I didn't know what Sonny Chiba was about. I saw it in the magazines a lot. And then when I finally did see it at Northgate Theater, which was just not too far, I didn't even know that was him. I didn't like it at all. It was Champions of Death or something. These are some of the old productions. I was bored. I couldn't stand this.
Oh, really? Okay.
I told him, "What the hell are you talking about?" I told that kid. You know?
Yeah.
And then I go, that guy sucked. It was just terrible. There's no way he is better than Bruce Lee.
No way.
So then we left it at that. And then I went and seen this horror. I was sitting there watching, and they got previews of the movies that are coming on, the following week. And one was a horror film called Maniac with Joe Spinell and Tom Savini, the makeup artist,
Okay.
famous makeup artist that did all that Friday the 13th stuff and everything else. And all of a sudden it says Sonny Chiba is the executioner. And I go, oh, that guy. I was already.
Yeah, I already discounted him. Oh, that guy.
And then next thing I know, by the time that trailer was over, I was like, I got to see that.
Hmm.
I mean, it looked like somebody completely different.
Really?
Yeah, the other ones had shaky cameras, so you couldn't even see. It was almost disguised what he did. He had all this overacting of his facial features and stuff, and sloppy looking kicks and things like that. Nothing that you could say that guy's good,
Sure,
at least
sure.
especially back then. Even back then, but let alone after Van Damme, you grew up in a different time. But
Oh man, seeing the beautiful, graceful techniques, because obviously he had that ballet background too. But so he set the bar for me. I'm comparing everybody against Van Damme. So when I see something like Street Fighter, I'm like, that's trash. Just like if I see a Chuck Norris movie, it's trash. But anyway, let's go back to the Executioner.
Yeah. So then, it was like a higher quality, a higher production, just like Enter the Dragon or something was.
Oh, really? Okay.
And no shaky camera, everything was smooth. But I didn't know that back then. I wasn't film. I wasn't that present of mind to know about the camera. I just looked better. He looked better.
Hmm.
So I went and seen it. There was so much martial arts in that film, and just nonstop, and it all looked great. I mean, I saw that over and over and over. I told my dad, let's go again and again. Before the movie leaves the theater, we saw it. Every time it came back, we would see it and see it and see it and see it.
That's your blood sport.
Look, I'm going to tell you, when the movies went to video, that's the first thing I tried to do. Is when everything went to videos, I got to get that on videotape
Sure.
so I could study it. And it wasn't released on video for the longest time. It was not released in video.
That's interesting.
I was so frustrated at the video stores. I said, I'll pay $1,000 if you get that movie. I told the video store owners, get it because there's money for you. I'll pay whatever, just get that movie.
I think they get you a bootleg copy.
I mean,
Oh, sorry, we can't do that.
I was so frustrated. I want that so bad. It didn't look like it was coming out or it was too far or they couldn't get it. It was never at any video store. I was so obsessed with trying to get that Sonny Chiba movie. And for the longest time, many years, from 16 years old all the way, I forgot I don't know what year videos came out, but it was probably 10 years after I was still looking for that trying to get that video, hunt down. I went to New York. I thought, well, maybe they'd have it in New York.
You have everything out there.
My brother didn't, he wanted to take me to different places and friends and family. I didn't care about any of that. I just wanted that. I made him take me to all these stores and I kept looking for it and looking for it and looking for it. And I think it was like, I don't know, 2000 or something like that later when all this stuff is on the internet that I was able to finally get it. I think
But wait, you finally got a copy in 2000?
Yeah. I did.
Jeez.
Well, because the internet, it was all on the internet.
No, I know. I'm just saying, so you've been searching your entire half your life for this thing.
Yeah, I did. I did. I was really, really obsessed with that movie because it really gave me what I liked about it. Is he looked ferocious in this. It wasn't like slapstick like Jackie Chan.
Sure.
Back then, some of his movies were so brutal. They would show bones breaking, ribs cracking, and arms bending backward. I mean, just things that, we see that now, but we didn't see that back then. From the time I was growing up, that stuff didn't have. You didn't see cheekbones collapse and eyes pop. I mean, some of it was like a horror film, gore. Some of his.
It is called The Executioner.
Yeah. So, and he was supposed to be a different character. I guess this one he was supposed to be a ninja. That was recruited later on. He had ninja training from his grandmaster, and then later on he joined like the CIA or something.
Like Frank Dukes.
To bust up the mafia.
Yeah. Yeah, this is Frank Dukes' story, man.
Oh, yeah, right. So he took it from that, from Sonny Chiba. But so anyways, it shows him busting out of prison and how he did it. takes bubble gum and puts it in the key lock and then solidifies it and then turns it into a key.
Oh, that's interesting. I always like a good prison escape in a movie.
Yeah, he had that kind of a thing. He would take this bubble gum. And so a lot of that was cool. And then the way he took people out, jumped on their shoulder, grabbed their neck with his feet, and did a somersault between their legs and flipped their body over and then broke their neck once they were on the floor. And, that was a cool scene, And then he started throwing these spin kicks over and over again, taking out some of the mafia, bodyguards. And they were very quick kicks and smooth and everything. And you wouldn't think that guy could do that,
Interesting.
and nunchucks and everything else that was in there. And I don't want to oversell it because
Well, hang on real quick now. When's the last time you've seen it? So you've seen it in theater numerous times. You waited half your life to finally get it around 2000 on video.
I
right?
want everybody to
Or on
know
the internet.
before I get too excited about this stuff.
Huh?
I was a kid,
Yeah, sure.
so it's not now.
Well, when's the last time you've seen it though? Like,
I watched it a few times once I got it, and then I put it away.
so you haven't seen it for over 10 years?
Yeah, even
'Cause I was
longer.
kind of curious how you think it holds up like right now.
There's something. Look, a lot of things he's doing is almost silly. Some of the things, and
Okay.
it is silly, and some faces and just the music. They're playing disco music or something, the soundtrack, and
Sure.
just that kind of stuff is cheesy. But getting around that and looking at some of his fast punches and kicks and things like that, and if you want to compare that over the other Sonny Chiba movies, it's way better. And also, the thing about Sonny Chiba was how real was he? The question was, I always asked that. This guy is in the movies, he can really fight. Like, as opposed to Jackie Chan or these other people, this guy could really fight.
Mm,
It appeared, you felt it when you watched this Executioner movie that he could really do that. And he
okay.
punched really fast and he kicked like that. And it wasn't slapstick at all, like all them films. He hit the person who was done. So he was like the first to really start showing, like a Seagal. He was like how Seagal did, he just and take people out.
I'm just a cook.
And
That's
just like very brutal fashion.
Right. So he was like a Seagal back then in those days
Just a lowly cook.
with Bruce Lee. And I read a lot about him, that he wanted to meet Bruce Lee, never got a chance to because they were going to do a movie. They were going to do a movie together. A lot of people don't know that.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
If he would have lived, Bruce Lee, it could have been Sonny Chiba and Bruce Lee in a movie together because they were having talks about that. So that's an important thing right there, a trivia question.
Yeah, that's really important because this would have obviously happened after, Enter the Dragon. So, it would have been like probably a bigger, higher budget, Hollywood film. Like I can only imagine how great that thing would have been.
Oh, it would have been incredible with all that money behind it too, and directing and making it, shaping it into something with these guys.
Sure.
And also, he was real because I remember reading when I was 16 years old, looking at one of the martial arts magazine, that he took a fight from some Japanese kickboxing champion and beat the guy at 38 years old.
Really?
Yeah. And it's interesting though, because isn't he the first actor martial artist to do that?
You mean after? Yeah, I guess if you go in that order, because obviously like someone like Don the Wilson fought and then he did movies, same with Chuck Norris. But if you're talking about a guy doing movies and then fighting, which Van Damme, funny enough, was going to do 10 years ago against some like Thai kickboxing champion.
Yep.
And that was like kind of the main storyline behind his Behind Closed Doors. I think that's the name of his reality show, but that fight never came to fruition. But yeah, so doing it, you said did you say at 35 or 38 years old?
38.
38 years old. That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, to do it at 38, beat the champion. There's a national champion or somebody like that.
Now, do you know why they fought? Like, was this guy just jealous and saying, "Oh, you're just this movie dude. I could kick your ass"?
There wasn't a lot. It was just a general. I just read in the magazine. There's no drama there.
Okay.
They were trying to say that he even got in the ring, at 38 years old. So he was a legitimate martial artist.
Wow. If he's beating up a champion at 38, that's pretty badass. It just adds to the legacy, man. It's pretty cool.
A lot of people don't know who Maso Yama was, but that guy was highly respected as one of the legends of karate. and he was his student. He got his black belt
Wow.
from Maso Yama, and Maso Yama was known for killing bulls with his bare hand. He
That's crazy.
killed 34 of them. No, he killed 4 of them, or killed 4 of them, and then chopped the horns off 30 of them, or something like that.
Jeez. Well, chop the horns off with what?
His hand, he would go like that.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So all these
Wow.
people,
I mean, as cool as that is, you know, I am an animal rights activist. I kind of find that a little cruel, but it is cool. It is a cool karate story.
that was also back then.
Yeah, back then nobody cared about animals, man. Like they just thought they were just animals, right? But now people are like, no, these things got feelings, and you know, we got to treat them better, right?
But he didn't drug the bull.
So this was just a bull that was like completely with it, that could have killed him, basically.
Right. So can we justify that, saying it's like, oh, you killed that bull? Yeah, but that bull is a bull, and I'm a man.
And that bull could have killed you, or him rather, you know. So
I didn't even kill him. I chopped his horns off.
well, now he did kill a couple though, right? By
Killed
punching.
like 4, but then chopped the horns off 30.
So maybe he felt bad about killing him and just said, well, I could still show off, but let me just
Still show
dehorn
off.
him.
Yeah, I could.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe I'll just flip one of them. I don't know, but there was like video of him actually struggling with he would fight with the bull before he would do that.
Jeez.
So it wasn't like they detained the bull somehow or restricted its movements. So, it wasn't like a cruel thing. It was, I'm going to take on the bull and end up with his horns.
Yeah, no, that's a different level of hardcore back then. Like people just get soft, like as each generation progresses, like in life gets easier in many ways. Like people just, no one's doing that now. Like
Yeah.
no one was doing that in the 80s. Like that's
Then he
crazy.
came here and beat up the Marines, I guess.
Huh?
I guess he came over here and he showed off. He did like some sort of showing or workshop to the Marines or our military.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he did come to the States and he did something for our military there. Showed how powerful he was.
Interesting.
He said nobody could beat him, like he was undefeated. He traveled, he challenged everybody everywhere, and that nobody could beat him.
Huh.
And I don't know how true this is, but Sonny Chiba, played a lot of time, because since that was his teacher, he made movies patterned off of Maso Yama.
Yeah.
And so one thing, and I remember it was the Karate Bear fighter, which was really should be the Karate Bull fighter, but
Wait, that was a movie, Karate Bear Fighter?
Karate Bear fighter with Sonny Chiba. Yeah.
Really?
Where Sonny Chiba, playing the part of Maso Yama, fights the bear. But there was another, then there was something really interesting that and I don't know how true this is. I don't know if it was for the movie or if Maso Yama really encountered this person, but he said that, he would fight anybody, anytime, and he'd go all over the place and defeat everybody.
I'll fight anybody, anywhere.
Nobody could defeat him. Except one time he was in like farmland in desolate rural area, and this blind man was walking with his cane.
Okay.
And he kept going as he was walking. He says he got suddenly frightened by this guy because he couldn't see around him. Like he couldn't see past what he was doing. He couldn't time it or something. And he knew that guy was a real master, whoever that guy was, but that was walking. And he said, that guy I couldn't beat.
Of all the people in the world, it was a blind man he was scared of.
And he says, he's such a master that he could tell that just by encountering somebody without actually fighting.
That's interesting. That's very interesting. It almost reminds me of what Bay Logan told me on how Van Damme got cast for No Retreat, No Surrender. That I forgot the martial artist who was looking at photographs, but apparently this guy can just tell by looking at a photograph on just how the guy is, like, it's not just purely physique, but just structured and like how he holds himself. Like the guy would just know this guy is great at martial arts just by looking at a photograph, and that's how he got cast as the villain in No Retreat, No Surrender.
Just from a photograph, somebody could tell.
Yeah, I mean, apparently this, I forget the guy's name, but yeah, that guy. And Van Damme, if you think about it, No Retreat, No Surrender, the way he moves blows anybody away in that movie or most other movies. I mean, he just moves different, right?
Yeah. But so back to the whole Sonny Chiba thing. So back then, Yeah, so then the movies that came up after, there's some other ones like Karate Warrior. That was a good movie. It was
That
about,
was a good one too.
oh, it was a good movie. It was a good story too.
Oh,
Because
okay.
yeah, it had to do with this little child, this little boy, and his samurai dad who worked for the mafia. And Sonny Chiba respected that samurai that worked for the mafia,
Mhm.
but knew one day he's going to have to kill him, and that kid's going to lose his dad. You know,
Mm.
so there's a touching moment at the end where he takes when that does happen, and that kid won't stop tagging along, and he wants to be with, Sonny Chiba's. He wants to be with him, and he threw all the cocaine in the water. He was throwing the thing that they were fighting over. The kid, when he looked after the whole fight was over, he was like looking, and he saw the kid throwing it away. And he goes, "What the heck?" And he comes after him, and he's like, he goes, "Well, my dad wanted his ashes thrown in the water. Are you mad because I did what my dad wanted me to?" He goes, "Those aren't his ashes. Ashes. These are not his ashes." You know, yeah, boy.
Yeah, that's
Then kid lost. And then he walks away and he's following him. And he says he doesn't want to adopt him because he knows one day he'll want vengeance for what he did. He'll learn one day that he took his father's life, and he may want vengeance.
real quick. Isn't this, didn't Quentin Tarantino completely rip this off? Isn't this going to end up being Kill Bill 3?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, because I think they're talking about that still. Because that girl is going to grow up
Right.
and basically kill Uma Thurman or want to fight her,
But some of the movies have really good stories like that. That was really, and it was all dubbed,
Oh, okay.
English. But the dubbing was actually better with the Japanese because it was almost like Japanese accents.
Oh, so it actually seemed realistic then.
Yeah, it wasn't British or something like that. Some Japanese guy with a Chinese guy with a weird
Yeah.
those ridiculous voices, those Chinese dubbed.
Those work in like more that slapsticky Jackie Chan martial art movie anyway, because it's so the fighting you can't even take serious. So of course now I got to take the accent serious, but that's interesting. So
don't you remember that?
It works for the Chiba movies because it is more serious.
Right, those Chinese. You can go to hell because I'm not afraid of you. Your kung fu's no good, bastard. And that's all you listen to.
Yeah.
But the Japanese movies weren't like that. It was all, guttural, the way the Japanese talk, enunciate. So it's
They almost like they're always angry, right?
Yeah, and it
or
seemed
very serious all the time.
you forgot when you watched that you were watching dubbing. You thought that was really Sonny Chiba's voice.
That does help. That does help.
Yeah. So that movie was good. Then there was others. But before I even say that, I want to go back to something else. Before Sonny Chiba he has like 4 black belts or 5 black belts in many different styles, including judo and karate and everything, and studied with Maso Yama. But before he even did karate or any of these martial arts, he was a gymnast.
Really?
Yeah. And he was going to be representing the country. That's how good he was in the Olympics. And then something happened. He had an injury in a car accident or something, and he could no longer do it. But the injury wasn't so bad, just bad enough to where he couldn't compete at a top-notch Olympic level. So he still got in the martial arts and became a movie star and all that, right?
Yeah, no, that's cool, man. Now, did he ever incorporate these gymnastics?
He did a little bit, but never not like what you see these days.
Yeah. I was almost gonna say he's like a forerunner to like the tricking and stuff. You know what really started that, I think, was that Jim Cotta movie back in the 80s, right?
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. That was way back in the 80s, but it didn't seem like you really seen the tricking guys come until about like,
What was his name?
2000s.
Do you remember his name?
No, I just know him as that Jim Cotta guy. And he may not have really been in anything else, just like that timeout guy from Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon. He's really, I think he did some TV shows, but he's really just known and great in that. I don't know why he didn't do more movies, whatever the reason behind that, but I still got to cover that movie someday on the channel. I've been meaning to forever, along with a lot of other really great movies. But yeah, so it's interesting. I don't think the Jim Cotta guy ended up doing anything else either, at least in the martial arts movie world.
So.
Going back to Sonny Chiba real quick, though, like, how did you feel when he passed away? Because he was such like a big guy as far as like he was your guy during your childhood, during your formative years, you know? Like how did that make you feel?
Well, it was sad, but I was also even wondering if he was still alive anyway.
You what?
I was wondering if he was still alive
Oh, so
anyway.
you didn't, because he was pretty old.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when people told me that, I was almost kind of like, oh yeah, he's still around. You know, like, huh.
Yeah. He was already pretty old. And like I said, when I was 16, they talked about him being 38 having that match.
Sure.
So then there's another video where he fought, he's in the movie with Rowdy Randy Piper. Rowdy Randy Piper.
Rowdy
Say
Piper?
that Rowdy
Rowdy?
Randy Piper, Ratty.
Whatever is that? Yeah, I know who you're talking about,
Rowdy,
Greg.
Rowdy, Rowdy Rosie.
Rowdy Piper, I think.
Say her name and say his at the same time. Yeah, alternate back and forth and see if you can keep it straight without screwing up.
So he's in a movie with that dude. Was that it one any good?
Yes, and that was a higher budget, and you get to see his sword technique.
Really?
Anybody that knows anything about swords can tell that guy's a real master just by watching that scene.
Like Shokasugi, man, you could just tell. You know,
Yeah.
master with the swords.
Yeah, the thing about the Shokasugi movies is there's like these cuts in between. It looked really choreographed, you know, like you're waiting for the next kick.
Mm.
You know how the stunt guy waits and then he gets kicked. You see the waiting, you know. But like with the Sonny Chiba fight, click, click, they're going back and forth, and it's close up, and you can tell he's got these lightning fast reflexes. You see his concentration and focus.
Okay.
How he ties the guy up with the sword and locks up with him, and you just know that guy's a real master. I just had that feeling that guy is really something. You're gonna have to you don't if you watch it, you'll see. It's not that old crap from the 1970s. You know that you were turned off by when you saw it. And a lot of it's funny because I know that he's got like 200 movies.
No, it's crazy. It's easy to lose track. And I could almost see why you would even lose track with the career. And you're like, you know, wouldn't even realize, wait, he's still making stuff, you know?
Yeah, because he's in Fast and Furious. His latest was Fast and Furious.
Well, I think the third one, but that one would have came out a while ago, Tokyo Drift, right? I think he was in that one.
That one. And then what was it? How many years ago?
Oh, dude, Tokyo Drift had to have been like 15 years ago at this point. I feel old because I remember seeing that in the theater, and the coolest thing at the end is like, wait, Vin Diesel's back.
Yeah.
Geez, that was 15 years ago. That time goes by fast. Yeah, but going back to why I asked you if you felt weird or anything when he passed, like I asked that because I kind of feel like, you know, someday, hopefully not anytime soon, but obviously someday, you know, like whenever somebody like Van Damme passes, because he was such a big part of my childhood and a big part of my inspiration for martial arts and even lifting weights. Like the funny thing is, Van Damme motivated me to lift weights more than like any bodybuilder ever did. You know, I think I'm gonna be a little dead inside, to be perfectly honest, man. Like I feel like I will in a lot of ways, even though I never met him. It's just like, you know, and he inspired like obviously millions of us, right? But some people like me, like a lot, because he was the guy that I really looked up to growing up, like not knowing him or anything, but like this is like, you know, the guy that I want to be like, right? I mean,
I forgot about Sonny Chiba. You know, after I got that movie.
oh, so it was almost just like you got the prize. It was like the Holy Grail. It's like, okay, I just don't care as much anymore. Like mission accomplished. It only took me 25 years. I got what I set out to do. And then let's just kind of, you know, not really think about him too much after. It was like, I got the prize, man. That's funny.
And I had my other martial arts pursuits.
Yeah, you were doing like, all kinds of other martial arts training anyway. You didn't need the movies anymore, man.
No, but
you were in your pursuit of like the Holy Grail in the real world of martial arts, not the movies. You know,
right? And I threw my mind into not movie stars anymore, but real martial artists and real fighters.
Yeah.
And you know, I really put so much into that I didn't care about movies or, you know, martial arts or actors, martial arts stars or anything.